I think that Keith has not gotten along with management. And again, much of this is speculation. To the extent that I know anything that the public doesn't know, it's very little, and it's all essentially consistent with what with certain reports I've seen. Because I'm not in regular contact with Keith Olbermann. We have no contact outside of the show. Beyond my sending him a very brief email saying that I had a tremendous amount of respect and appreciation for all the work that he's done in the context of his show. That's it. And, people used to think at Air America that, oh, you guys must all hang out in the commissary. And it just doesn't work that way. I would come in if I was on set, or if I wasn't, then I wouldn't have a chance. But I would say hello. We would talk. How's it going? Good. Sometimes Keith would talk about Bill Hicks because he knows I come from that world a little bit. And that's it. And frankly, there wasn't, when I would go in and subbing for him over the past month, there wasn't a lot of discussion about any meta aspects of the show. Beyond, you can either sit here or there. Keith sometimes sits here, sometimes he sits there, when you're prepping. And but through other channels, I hear things. And frankly, I'm trying to learn as I get older, and with only moderate success, to not articulate my opinion about things that aren't necessarily my business, don't necessarily mean anything to people outside of a narrow situation, and don't end up coming back and bite me in the ass. I think my ability to get myself in trouble is well documented. I am also not someone who has gotten along historically well with management. I don't know the management at MSNBC. I can tell you that the management at Air America, I don't believe it was appropriate for me to get along with them. But other people handled it differently and found more success in some instances than I did. But there was definitely tension between Olbermann and the management at MSNBC. And I think that they have been trying to fire him, get him to leave for an extended period of time. I would say probably, my guess is, for almost a year, maybe less. But that is the sense that I have gotten. I said that when they suspended him over the campaign donations, it seemed to me to be very much like the suspension of Randy Rhoads from Air America. A suspension that was meant as much to agitate, to set a pretext, as much as it was to carry out any policy dictates. And I think that, frankly, I think they wanted to use that as a pretext at that time, and they couldn't figure out a way to make it happen. Because whatever, Scarborough had done the same thing, because everybody thought it was ridiculous. It didn't make any sense. Now, I do think that what is problematic is the great, and I will say this. I don't know whether or not Keith wanted to leave that show, or if, to the extent that he did want to leave, it was a function of the grief he was taking from management. I don't know. I imagine it's somewhere in between. I don't know if he even knows how that breaks down. But I do think that we are going to be hearing from him shortly. I don't know, not here on this program. Evan's looking at me like, what? Were we supposed to answer a phone call? And I think that we are going to, he's going to have a presence. And I think I don't need to tell you. Look, there are some people who, would email me like, I never liked Keith anyway. Doesn't matter. Some people like him, dislike him from an entertainment perspective. Doesn't matter. I don't know. Maybe it's even so obvious it's not even worth saying. But Keith Olbermann brought a progressive infrastructure, helped the progressive infrastructure, brought a message of dissent to TV where there was none before then. Donahue had a shot, the Roll Up to the War. He was a very expensive show. Yes, he got good ratings on a crappy network. Do I think part of the reason why he was taken off was because he was anti-war? Yes. The other part was it was easy to justify because he was probably making more than he was earning in terms of the ratings. But Olbermann was not like that. Olbermann built MSNBC, both in terms of ratings and in terms of creating a programmatic structure for them. He is responsible for Rachel Maddow being on TV in the way that she is now. It's conceivable that Rachel could have, been a contributor somewhere, but I don't see CNN giving her a show. And I don't think that MSNBC would have given her a show unless she was protected, promoted, championed as much by Keith Olbermann. And O'Donnell would not have a show. And Ed Schultz would not have a show. And Cenk Uygur would not be filling in. None of that would have happened. None of it. And Chris Hayes would not be as prominent as he is. And I could go down the line in terms of people who would have a much smaller platform were it not for what Keith Olbermann did. And, we all have our parts that we play in this entire sort of movement to the extent that we have one. I don't think we quite have one yet, but an infrastructure. People send me, I can draw a line for you from, and I can't remember who it was, the person when I was doing Seder on Sundays who sent me an email with guest selections to Melissa Harris Lacewell, I can't remember her new name, to being on my show, to her being on Rachel's show. I could draw a direct line, and it includes Jessica. And it includes my bookers who went on to these other shows. The first time that Chris Hayes, I think, did any media was on the Majority Report. The first time Marcos was on the Majority Report. I'm not saying this because I'm being self-aggrandizing, because no one cares. I'm saying this because that leads to something, and then that leads to something, and so on and so on and so on. So the implications of Keith Olbermann and what he did in those 8 years, I don't know if there was any policy implications that you could directly tie to it. We certainly didn't leave Iraq because he gave a special comment to Donald Rumsfeld. But the implications of his show will resonate. MSNBC could disappear tomorrow, and the implications of his show will resonate for years to come. And that's his importance. That's his legacy as of today. But the guy hasn't passed away. He's going to go on and do something else. And, so it's a loss, but what he got in motion still exists. And I will talk about the implications of the new lineup and all that other stuff in the post show. But that's the most important thing. That's the biggest takeaway from this in terms of Olbermann, is that the ripples that he created over the course of those 8 years, 6 years, whatever it is, will be felt for a long time going forward. And I hope he's very proud about that. I'm sure he is. And I think to a certain extent, it's as Joe Lieberman said, to everything there's a season. And I can't possibly win re-election. But Olbermann, went out on top. Dude went out with the highest rated show on that program consistently. You add up those 2 times he repeats, unbelievable. He created what, one of the main reasons why I went into liberal talk radio. I mean, aside from my passion for politics, is I wanted to prove that you could make money as a liberal. It didn't exist in 2004. It didn't. There was nothing. Nobody. And now it's different. It's different now. Not for me, but for others.